He'll also talk to probably the most influential and electrifying person in this debate, a no campaigner, Senator Jacinta Price. Now, she, in this documentary, mentioned something that shocked me. Now, non-Aborigines were really used to being told we can't, climb Uluru for supposed cultural reasons. We can't visit other mountains or tourism sites as well, same thing. But Price has now been told to stay away even from her mother's old hometown of Yuendumu in the Northern Territory. Jacinta Price joins me now. Always great to see you, Jacinta. What exactly happened here?
So I arrived in the community of Yuendumu. Everything had been organised so that I could have a discussion with my grandmother, who wanted to be interviewed. Was happy to be interviewed by Matt Cunningham, as well as my aunt, who was very happy. She'd organised it all. And she couldn't make it herself because she had work on in Alice Springs, but the media organisation out there sat me down. I felt like I was being treated like a prisoner and, asked what I was doing there. There was an elder there who was my uncle, and I made it very clear to him the reasons I was there. And he said, you have every right to be here, basically, but these non-Aboriginal women continued to question me. I felt like I was being sat down in a police station to say, well, what are you talking about, and why, you need a permit and all these sorts of things from the Central Land Council. I said, hang on a second. Firstly, I am a Warrapari woman. I've been long associated with Yuendumu. Before these women ever even probably heard of Yuendumu, I've grown up there with my family. I'm a traditional owner for country surrounding there, and I'm here to speak to my grandmother as an individual in her own right, because she has the right as an Australian citizen to speak to media if she wishes to. And they kept saying, well, have you had I said, I don't need a permit because this is my family's own country. And my uncle, who was there, could see that I was visibly upset and continued to say, no, you're right. You're right. You have every right to be here and talk to family. And I said, in fact, I'm not even going to film within Yuendumu itself. I'm actually going 15 kilometres out to an outstation, my family's outstation, on my grandfather's country to interview my grandmother. But my grandmother had, moments before me arriving, been put on a school bus and the school kids had gone off on a little excursion out bush, which I thought was all too ironic. But I found it deeply insulting that I'm being asked by these non-Indigenous women who have no kin connection to my family, no connection to the country, and being treated in such a demoralising way to suggest that I needed to go through processes. And it was because apparently, things that have occurred, they suggested there'd been sorry business. My intel from my family told me the sorry business was over.
Let's cut to the chase, Jacinta. Let's cut to the chase. I don't buy that stuff. I've heard of journalists, for example, being denied permission to go to places like Wat Air, where there's been real trouble, to keep the lid on the trouble, to stop outsiders seeing inside. But what do you think was the real problem with having you in your family's own homeland?
Well, because I like to talk about issues freely, openly, use freedom of speech to address issues that are of grave concern. I feel calls from Yuendumu on a regular basis of female members of my family talking about the violence that's occurring, talking about the individuals that are causing that violence, talking about the fact that, they would like to see more leadership in the community to tackle the issue of violence, and they're just not seeing it. And there are certainly men in that community that don't like me because I'm very honest about these issues. One of them came out afterwards saying that he denied me access. He wasn't even at the meeting, so he didn't know what took place. But I don't have to listen to him, and he can try to push me away and tell me I can't enter the community as much as he wants. But I will talk to women in my own family whenever I please and wherever I please. You can try to get your non-Indigenous security guards onto me, but it's not going to work. And I need to respect the fact also that I am an elected member.
Yeah, you've been attacked for a long time.
Absolutely.
For calling out aspects of some Aboriginal cultures like sort of a very toxic masculinity. You know, you haven't blamed everything on, you know, colonialism. You said, look, there's some things we can fix ourselves, and that has earned you this enmity. Now, with The Voice, I'm seeing a similar deflection. You know, this notion, it's being sold on the notion the problems on the ground of the kind that you've been facing up to, alerting us to, can be fixed only if whites just listen to the activists and Aboriginal organisations like these land councils that have been failing to deal with the problems right now. To me, The Voice seems a duck shoving of responsibility. Your view?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, firstly, they will want those. They will be hand-selected individuals that are spruiking, you know, the messages and the things that they want, you know, to be heard. They won't be listening to the vulnerable people who are shunned, who are threatened, who are told they can't speak in their own communities. That's not who The Voice will seek to listen to. It'll be those who already hold the power and have a particular agenda. And then the government will also turn around, you know, this Labor government will turn around and say, this issue, you know, we don't want to actually deal with it. We'll handball it to The Voice, and Aboriginal people will be relegated to put your issues through The Voice, you know, not to your elected member of parliament, but The Voice, because you're Indigenous.
Let's just get another post box, you know, just send it to another post box. I mean, it's ridiculous. Jacinta Price, I so admire your fight. I have done for many, many years. Thank you so much for coming on the show.